Hello, this is I Go Travel with Don Barnett. Come on along, we'll show you a shortcut to Alaska. A lot of people take it, a lot of people don't know about it yet. It's a good road, scenic country, interesting things. You go there at the right time of the season, in the fall. The bears, you can watch them eating salmon in a creek right below you. You'll see one of the biggest, greatest glaciers you'll ever lay your eyes on, and you can drive right alongside it. So it's called Highway 37. Let's get on the road. Highway 37 in red on this map is a popular shortcut to and from Alaska. It avoids taking the Alaska Highway, the blacker line, all the way down to the bottom into central BC and near the Alberta border. Sometimes it's called the Stewart Cassier Highway because Stewart is a community on the south end and Cassiar is an ex-abandoned mine in the north end. This map shows Highway 37 between the Alaska Highway up on the top and at the bottom the Yellowhead, number 16. Highway 37, don't miss the junction there if you're coming from Alaska. If you go too far to Watson Lake, you'll have to turn around 20 kilometers and come back, but it's worth it. Dease Lake is the main size community. You can probably get gas and a stop there in most cases. And further down, Mesidian Junction is important because you'll probably want to go over to Hyder and Stewart. There are some good things there. And the total distance, the white line on the right, shows 720 kilometers at 100 kilometers an hour driving. That's 7 hours, but you won't average that. So you're looking at 8-9 hours total distance. If you're coming from Whitehorse or Alaska, down the Alaska Highway, don't miss this intersection, which is Highway 37. If you do miss it, you'll go on to Watson Lake, another 20 kilometers. That's in that travelogue, if you saw it, that's where all the highway signs were put up over the years. Go down there, get gas, have a coffee, take a break, take a deep breath, and make a U-turn and come on back to 20 kilometers where you missed this intersection, if that's the case. But the intersection is fairly well marked, Highway 37. And just an orientation to the whole Highway 37, we'll stop in at Cassiar, an abandoned asbestos mine. A little further down the road is Jade City, where you can buy some jewelry. The main community, and really only community along the highway, is at Dease Lake. Now, if you've got a smaller vehicle, or a towed that you're pulling with your motorhome, you can run 115 kilometers down here on a windy, twisty, steep road to the coast or near the coast at a place called Telegraph Creek. And there's a story there too. But if you don't have a smaller vehicle, stay on this paved road. Come on down here to Mesidian Junction, and a nice campground there, provincial campsite. And you go into the 70 kilometers into Hyder Stewart communities. A very worthwhile trip, probably the big part of the trip. There's a bear watching at the right time of year in the fall, and a great glacier in there, the Salmon Glacier. Anyway, come on back here and continue south down 37. You'll eventually come down here to the Yellowhead Highway, number 16, at a community called Kitwanga, a First Nations community. And from there you might decide to go on out to the coast to Prince Rupert, 240 kilometers, about a 2.5 hour drive. Or if you're going south into British Columbia and back to the United States, you have got to go another 480 kilometers eastward to the community city of Prince George, and you can go south from there. The most northern place of interest is the abandoned asbestos mine community of Cassiar, westward from the highway about 10 kilometers. And you can see Cassiar is underlined in yellow. The mine opened in the 1950s and closed in 1992. The buildings eventually collapsed over time, were either burned or were sold and hauled away. And that included 2 schools, a hospital, a hockey arena, a recreation center, a church, and numerous houses. Asbestos fell into disuse when it was realized that it caused lung problems and cancer. It was widely used in construction, and that included material for insulation, fireproofing materials, and drywall or wallboard. Jade City, underlined in yellow on the map, is south of Cassiar turnoff. It is about 115 kilometers north of Dease Lake, or 600 kilometers north of the Yellowhead Highway, number 16, you see at the bottom of the page. Jade City is a family-run operation that mines, processes, designs, and sells their jade jewelry. The building is along the west side of the highway. The Big Bear statue usually stands alone. But every once in a while, he gets a real-life visitor like this young moose calf. This is big game country. Compressed by heat and pressure over geological time, jade rock is pried from larger mountain rocks and hauled to the store where the real work begins. The rough jade in the back of this half-ton doesn't look like much. But when it is cut and polished, it takes on a deep green hue and is pleasantly smooth to the touch. It takes many hours of sawing and polishing and carving to produce jewelry like necklaces, brooches, earrings, and bracelets. They also have for sale a variety of carvings and statues made out of this jade. Jade City area here produces over 90% of the world's nephrite jade. Jade is a very hard stone and must be cut with diamond cutters and saws. On this Mohs scale of mineral hardness, only number 10 at the top of the scale, diamond, is harder than jade. If you work down the scale, you see marble and granite is less hard than jade. And lesser hard minerals have the smaller numbers at the lower end of the scale. Jade is found in ancient cultures, like the Maori of New Zealand. It's found in the Mayan of Central America, and also in Chinese, Myanmar, Korean, Japanese, all historic cultures of Asia. It has been seen as a symbol of love, wisdom, good luck, and friendship, and has also actually been made to make tools, weapons, and ornaments. These locally mined and designed products here are not enhanced with any artificial coloring or dyes. What you see and get here is the real deal. Let's look at Telegraph Creek, which is underlined in yellow in the middle left of this map. You can take this road if you have a car or a small truck, but I would suggest that do not bother otherwise if you're pulling an RV trailer or bigger motorhome. It is pretty narrow in some places with steep hills and some sharp curves. The road follows the Stikine River that flows into the Pacific Ocean about 10 kilometers north of Wrangell, Alaska. From the highway, you can get a brief glimpse of the lower end of the Grand Canyon of the Stikine. The canyon is internationally regarded as the granddaddy of all whitewater rapids. Only a few expert kayakers have attempted this wild stretch of river. Stikine is the last of the untamed, non-dammed rivers of North America. There is only a store and a few buildings at Telegraph Creek at the end of the road. And you can have coffee in one of the stores there. Jammed along the river, there is hardly room to turn around. And there are a number of old buildings in the town. Telegraph Creek was part of a plan to lay a telegraph line from San Francisco under the Bering Sea and on across Siberia to Moscow. However, new technology, distance, and wilderness contributed to abandonment before it was finished. It did, however, open the northern areas to further awareness and exploration. It also provided a basis to run a line later to Dawson City during the Klondike Gold Rush days. Stewart and Hyder are underlined in yellow on this map. The 70-kilometer road into them from Meridian Junction is very worthwhile. There's a nice campground at Meridian Junction and another nice one also in Stewart. The highway into Stewart and Hyder is paved, and it's a nice trip. You can get a close-up view of a fairly small glacier that's right along the road on the way into Stewart and Hyder. Only a small creek separates the two communities. They're both at the tip of the Alaska Panhandle. Stewart in British Columbia is the larger of the two communities and offers various services. At one time in the early days, Stewart was the site of the making of several Hollywood movies. Stewart and Hyder are at the head of the Portland Canal, a natural inlet or fjord from the Pacific Ocean. Periodically, political talk occurs about making this deep seaport a shipping terminal for inland oil and gas pipelines. The community of Stewart has been around a long time. There are several services there, as I said before, and it has quite a history. We enjoyed walking out on the wooden boardwalk and looking at the inland Portland Canal. Watching bears eat salmon close up is a unique experience of a lifetime. You watch high above them on a platform built along the creek. You have to be here in the fall when the salmon run. Salmon return each fall to lay eggs in the same place where they were born. These bears are grizzlies because they have that muscular hump on the back above the front shoulders. In contrast, these black bears do not have this muscular hump and are generally a little smaller than the grizzly bear. Black bears avoid coming to the creek when the grizzlies are around. The grizzlies will chase off the black bears and kill them if they catch them. The feed chain has a pecking order. People sometimes, unfortunately, miss the drive along the Salmon Glacier. The road up the glacier runs right out from the bear watching parking lot. The road actually parallels the glacier and follows alongside it, just above it, for about I'm guessing 25 to 50 kilometers. The road is a good gravel bed, wide enough to comfortably meet traffic and generally well graded with no steep hills or sharp curves. Just drive it accordingly. You get a unique view of a glacier, and it is evident to you that a glacier really is a river of ice. Most views of glaciers are from the front onto the glacier, looking across the width of the glacier and straight ahead into it. I am not aware of any other glacier that gives you this kind of a view. The bears, the salmon, and the Salmon Glacier are once-in-a-lifetime experiences. Try not to miss them if you're in this part of the country. And that's the story of Highway 37. It's a real good road. A lot of people take it like I said at the beginning of the travelogue. So give me a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button, and that'll help us bring more of these travelogues. Until then, so long for now.